These are the guys who got us the good laws. And what's the best law we have here that everybody's following? Constitutional carry. You don't need no stinking permit no more. A firearm is nothing more than personal property. It's like a book. There are places where you can't have a book. Well, in Arizona, there's no way to carry a gun illegally anymore. There are places you can't go, 3 pages of places you can't go, but there's no way to carry illegally. In your pocket, in your handbag, in your car, under the seat, it's all legal. It's just possession of private property. Now you can do things with a gun that will get you arrested. And you got to know what those are so you don't step into a trap you didn't know about. That's why you want to know the laws. That's why I wrote that. And that's why they're used in classes, and that's why we're up to the 25th edition. So let's do a little experiment. First we'll start with dominant eye, and then we're going to talk about the 3 safety rules. If you've got stuff in your hands, put it down, because I'm going to ask you to stand up for a minute, okay? Put down whatever you're holding and stand up. What a bunch of sheep. Sit down, stand up, stay standing. Do you know what your dominant eye is? Or what dominant eye is? Everybody has a dominant eye. It's very important when you shoot. One of your eyes is dominant, and here's how you find out what your dominant eye is. You see that center red star, the one in the middle? Here's what you do. You take both your hands, you put them out in front of you like this, and you form a little opening. And you look at that red star with both of your eyes through the opening. Can you do that? Now pull the opening towards your face until you're in front of only one eye. And you end up in front of only one eye, right?
Yeah.
That's your dominant eye.
Oh, wow.
Did that work for everybody?
Yes.
Now, are you right-handed and you ended up in front of your right eye?
Yes.
Are you right-handed but you ended up in front of your left eye?
Yeah.
Some of each. I'm right-handed and left eye dominant. Most people are right eye and right eye dominant. Want to do it again just to make sure? Try it again. Put your arms all the way out. Look at that center red star through the opening. Pull your hands towards your face, keeping the star there. And which eye comes up?
Right eye.
So now you know which eye is your dominant eye. Everybody has one. These are the beginnings of learning how to shoot and how to handle a firearm safely. Could we do this in a public school without anybody getting shot?
Yes.
Do you think maybe we should?
Yes.
Would America be better if kids learned this sort of thing? Did you just learn something?
Yes.
Okay, that's one of the simplest exercises. Because I'm left eye dominant and right-handed, when I shoot, and we're not going to go into grip, stance, and some other things, I have to lean my head over to get the sights aligned, because my right hand's here, but my left eye is there. So I've got to take a kind of awkward stance. It'd be easier if my right eye and my right hand were aligned, but they're not, and you make these physical adjustments in order to shoot well. Shooting is very complex, takes a lot of concentration, it's a really carefully learned skill, and most people think it's just what you see in the movies. Now we're going to learn something about the second law of gun safety. I'll tell you what the laws are, and I'll tell you what, we'll repeat them just so that we get them, okay? Anybody know what rule number 1 is?
All guns are loaded.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of versions, and this is important to note. There are a bunch of versions. It ain't as solid as physics. The Jeff Cooper rule that I heard some people say, all guns are always loaded. I don't like that version. A rule is something you can follow. The Jeff Cooper rule, which is very popular, is real short and easy to remember. All guns are always loaded. That's a statement, not a rule. And it's not a true statement, because all guns are not always loaded. The rule I was brought up on, which I think is the best, treat every gun as if it's loaded. Say that. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. And the second half is, until you've personally proven otherwise. Until you've personally proven otherwise. So it's treat every gun as if it's loaded until you've personally proven otherwise. If you do that, you will never, ever have an accident. That's what the safety rules are for. Now the second rule, and there's a lot of versions of this, is always point the gun in a safe direction. And there's a lot of versions. And the third rule is keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. Those are the three safety rules. Anytime you hear about an accident, somebody violated one of the rules. And you can always pick out which rule. And when you watch a movie tonight, you watch the shootings, because when you do this with the remote, you get to watch a lot of shootings, and they're always violating the safety rules. They always point the gun in a dangerous direction. They always treat it as if it's not loaded, or they don't check, and they always point the guns in dangerous directions and put their fingers on the trigger. So I want you to take out your finger gun. Has everybody got one of these? All right, it's in your pocket. So put your hand in your pocket and take out your finger gun and point it. Second rule, point it in a safe direction. Everybody who didn't point it in a safe direction, sit down. That's all of you.
Okay.
How did you get it out of your pocket without pointing it at you or somebody else? Were you able to?
Yes. Pointing.
Put it in your pocket again and take it out again, and imagine there's a laser on your fingertip, and see if you were actually able to point it in a safe direction.
Down.
And you didn't point it at your foot. You didn't hit your thigh.
It might go off.
You didn't cut a hole in the carpet. It didn't hit the floor and bounce and hit the ceiling. Here's my point about gun safety rule number 2. There's no safe direction. You can all sit down now. I see you starting to sweat. I have never liked gun safety rule number 2. In an urban environment like we're in, I just covered 6 people. There's no way for me to get it back down. That's what the solders say. Okay. Keith got it. Brad got it. There's no way to get it back down. I don't know what's on the other side of that wall. The only place that's really a safe direction is at a shooting range. Because at a shooting range, if this was a shooting range, I could take the gun out of the bag with the muzzle pointed down range where bullets can go, where I won't destroy anything, with my finger off the trigger, and leave the gun pointed down range. That would be safe. That's the only place in an urban environment that you can take a gun out and keep it pointed in a safe direction. So, treat every gun as if it's loaded until you've personally proven otherwise. Always point the gun in a safe direction and keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. Now, a trigger is a finger magnet. Your finger just wants to go there. Happens all the time. And little secrets like that are in my 14th book, Your First Gun. Should you get one and join 60 million safely armed American homes? The person in the White House and everybody who follows him blindly thinks that if you have a gun in your house becomes dangerous. And when I speak to liberals, and I make an effort to meet with liberals, they're not really liberals, they're progressives. They're not really progressives, they're Marxists. Let's keep the language straight. Alan, do you own a gun? Well, of course I own a gun, don't you? I wouldn't own a gun, it's too dangerous. Well, it's too dangerous not to own a gun. They never heard that. What would you do if somebody tried to break in? And then they talk about getting a kitchen knife or a frying pan or calling the police, so they don't get it. And you've got to try and help these people. They need help. They need sympathy. Some of them need treatment. They have something called hoplophobia. You heard of hoplophobia? This is a morbid fear of guns. They're terrified of guns. They wish all the guns would go away. Think about that. They wish all the guns would go away. They should take all the guns away. Who's they? The government. Well, they don't mind the government taking the guns away as long as the current person in the White House takes them. But what about if George Bush was in the White House? Oh my God, that would be terrible. And of course, the government with all the guns is the way tyranny happens, and we all know those stories. I won't go into them. And it's easy to picture a situation where there's no guns. It's easy. You just go back in time to before gunpowder. We had no guns for most of human history. And what do you get? Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar, Vlad the Impaler, my favorite, Xena the Warrior Princess. In those days, you really needed a gun. You know, when those people came to town, you were in trouble. These people need this book because this doesn't tell you about how guns work and the confusing caliber numbers are all. This is, why would I even want a gun? Where would I put the thing? What kind of gun would be right for me? What if my spouse objects? And these days, more often than not, the woman wants the gun and the husband's afraid of it.
It's true.
What about the kids? Can't the crook just take the gun away from me and use it on me? You know how many times I hear that one? And that one's got a simple answer. It doesn't work that way. Because if it worked that way, you could just take the crook's gun. They haven't thought these things through. And my books are all in plain English so they can understand it. I made this one so cheap, I sell them 4 for $20 and people buy a 4-pack and give them to their friends. $10 a piece on the web, but 4 for $20 and you can give them away. I want 1 million new gun owners because this makes us more safe. And then people start to understand guns are the litmus test of freedom. They are physical freedom in your hand. It makes a difference. And so if you want to make a difference, I told you to change your language. Go to the range and bring a friend. A friend who shoots regularly, a friend who's never fired a gun before. You have never seen anything as beautiful as a person who's afraid to go to the range or who has never shot a gun and gets to fire for the first time. They find out they can do it. They hit the target. They want more ammo. They all say that at the end. Can I try that gun too? They all say the same thing. And then you start asking about, when did you get your gun? Can I buy a gun? How much does it cost? Can I register my gun? They have no idea that registration, first of all, we don't have any. You can't. It's just private property. You could buy one from me. I could sell you one of mine. You just go in and do it. Well, I don't want to give my name to the FBI. Oh, they're starting to get it. And that's in there too. What does it mean to buy a gun off paper? They all of a sudden don't want the NSA and the FBI and all those guys to know that they have a gun. And they come over to our side. So take somebody to the range, or just go to the range yourself and exercise this freedom. If you don't exercise this freedom, you don't really have it.